me get some better lighting and clean the phone lens from my oily skin. Give me a second. All right, that's better. Hey, I gotta fix that. Change the chat filter. Let me make sure my AI moderation is activated. Yep, my cloud bot is working. So we can get this started. Grab some water. So, underway. What time is it? Oh, late. Um, so I won't keep this going for long, just in case no one appears. If people do appear, good. But the topic is uh superhero films are trying to make a comeback this this year, the end of this year, the summer and fall. We'll see. Um, if people appear, I might talk some spoilers of stuff going on with Doomsday and Spider-Man: A Brand New Day. So the Avengers: Doomsday, Spider-Man: A Brand New Day. What other superheroes is there? Oh, Supergirl, um, which I don't think anyone cares about. Like honestly, um, DC does not have a lot going on besides the Supergirl thing. But how many are you gonna check in? Did anyone watch Superman last year? I did. I'm actually mad that I overpaid to be in like a three. I think I watched it in 3D. Uh, Young Dope says hello, what's up? But yeah, I didn't intend on seeing it. But unfortunately, when you go see it with a friend who wants to waste money, then that happens. Because I did not intend on doing that. I was prepared to just see it in the regular theater, the not 3D, the 3D not IMAX, whatever the other version, the thing that's like IMAX is. But it was a good movie. Other than James Gunn does not know how to make solo superhero films. Um, GMS says, "Hi, hey, how you doing? What's up, Young Dope? You already going things about the wrong way. If you're gonna come here soliciting your channel, drop a super chat or I will block you. That's not how you do things. I don't go into anyone else's channel soliciting my channel on theirs unless I drop a super chat. But you know what? You're not listening, so peace. Told you about that dumb shit. Don't come here soliciting your fucking channel on my channel unless you drop in a super chat, guys. Mr. underscore hat guy real says hi, what's up? Someone asked, do I like hockey? Not the topic of my discussion. Anyway, the topic of my discussion is rather superhero films are trying to make a comeback. And I don't think they will. I think people will go see them, but they won't reach the height that they did in 2019. Endgame was like was was pretty much the climax. However, that's what I'm going to get into. So, like I said, first of all, we got Supergirl coming out. Uh, I don't think anyone cares. James Gunn does not know how to make good solo superhero movies. Even when he did Superman last year, it was decent, but it was still like a superhero ensemble because it was loaded with so many superheroes. Um, Green Lantern, but not the good Green Lantern. He used Guy Gardner, the most unlikable of the human Green Lanterns, for comedic effect. They had Hawk Girl. They had Mr. Terrific. I did like seeing Mr. Terrific because the CW shows, the Arrow and those other shows were so horrible, and they gave such a bad depiction of Mr. Terrific in the Arrow that I needed a palate cleanser to show him more in his comic book origins. Like for no reason whatsoever, the CW made him gay. They made him like the weakest character on the Green Arrow team, which didn't even make sense because he was never part of some Green Arrow team, nor did Green Arrow have a freaking team. And the Arrow was just so bad on so many levels. And he's like the third smartest person in the DC multiverse, but he was playing a sidekick to a knockoff version of Barbara Gordon on the Arrow. It just and then why is it called the Arrow instead of Green Arrow? Because they think calling it Green Arrow is somehow sillier. Just like with the new series, HBO Max series, The Lanterns. Some some reason they think calling it Green Lantern is silly, even though it's literally based off of a comic book hero. So instead of calling them the Green Lanterns, it's called the Lanterns. Like stupid. People who don't like the you got people making these shows that don't even like that don't even like the, the IP from where it comes. It's crazy. So James Gunn, I'm gonna say the DCU under James Gunn is looking like it's going to flop. Superman, as much as I did like it underperformed in the theaters. They tried to claim it was a success. It wasn't. It barely broke even. And this we know this now because it was at first it was just people on YouTube saying it, but it was confirmed when Netflix proposed merger with Warner Brothers Discovery was still undergoing, and Andrew Meisner says hi, what's up? Um, but the Netflix CEO at the time when he was, in court talking about the proposed merger. I think this is in Congress or wherever he had to talk to see if to get approval for the merger. I guess under the FCC. Uh, he was talking about the proposed merger and how like Warner Brothers wasn't doing too well and how their latest film Superman didn't underperformed in the audience in the theaters. So it was confirmed what the YouTubers were saying because most people just say, "Oh, these are just YouTubers who hate everything woke and blah 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 blah." But no, they were right. Superman did not do well in the theaters. That's why it was released so that's why it was literally like released a month later onto video on demand. So a movie that is not that's doing well is not going to be released a month later after its theatrical release onto video on demand. To I mean to buy on digital. That wouldn't happen. When Deadpool and Wolverine came out 2 years ago, it stayed in the theaters for 3 months. And I noticed because when it came out in July, I was initially going to see it at this theater for free because they were letting people see it for free as a way of trying to bring in audiences to their brand to this new black owned theater where I lived in the Baltimore area. And I missed the date because I assumed that one of my friends was going with me. He changed his mind, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go on my own. Then I realized when I checked the distance, I was like, oh shit, I'm not gonna make it to the theater in time to see it. Like, I mean, I would probably get there half like almost halfway through the movie. I was like, I'm wasting my time. And then I dilly dallied for 2 months up until September. So I didn't. So it came out in July, and I didn't see it until September. But the movie was such a success, which is uncommon for the MCU nowadays, as it used to be. They used to be a hit factory. Now they're just a miss factory. But Deadpool and Wolverine did so good; it stayed in the theaters for 3 months, up until I believe the end of September or the beginning of August, before they before you could buy it on digital. So that did not happen with Superman. Superman was out for a month, and then they released it, and then they you could buy it on digital. So it wasn't doing well. Um, and so that was the only theatrical release. The Batman Part Two is still, I think, filming. I don't know what's going on with that because there's this. I don't really think Gunn even wants the movie to be made, but because I think they were still under contract to make the sequel is going to happen, but it's not going to be a part of the DCU. It's supposed to be a Elseworlds type movie. Elseworlds refers to in the DC comics alternate timelines, um, hypothetical scenarios. That's what the Elseworlds is. And the first Elseworlds comic was Batman Gotham by Gaslight, which depicted Batman in uh, in a Gotham during the Victorian age, uh, where it was like Jack the Ripper was like somehow made it there, and he had to stop him and all that sort of. It's actually a really good comic to check out. And they made an animated film version of it as well on in the DC animated universe about 10 years ago. So you can check that out if you don't want to read the book, but the book is better. And like I said, it officially became the first Elseworlds comic. Um, but anyway, so what else did Gunn do? So I guess he was producer on the stuff before the official DCU release, like Blue Beetle and the Flash. The Flash was kind of like the ending of the old Snyderverse or DCEU. But Gunn was attached to those things like the Flash and Blue Beetle, which did neither which did well. I don't think he was attached to Black Adam, which was supposed to save the DCEU Snyderverse, and it didn't because it was mid. It wasn't bad, but it was just mid, and an anti-hero was not going to save the DCEU. So Spider-Man, like I said, sorry, Superman was good, but it felt like he was like just he didn't feel like eh, in some parts it seemed like he wasn't the main person in his own movie. That was the main criticism. Plus the whole thing of making his Kryptonian parents evil and wanting him to basically use Earth to be a harem, so he could so that he could spread his Kryptonian seed. That was just wild as shit. Um, but Supergirl just when the trailer first released, it just pissed me off because literally crypto was pissing on the image of Superman on a newspaper, and that was like a conscious decision to actually have a CGI dog did you know CGI piss on the image of Superman just to show this isn't that Supergirl isn't anything like him. So she's basically a drunken. She acts like a basically like a drunken college girl out whoring and drinking across the galaxy or across the universe rather. And Gunn pretty much made her a female version of Star Lord. What's up, Robert? He said, "What's up, dude?" Yeah. So yeah, James Gunn basically made Kara Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, basically a female Star Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. And the second trailer that just came out basically just makes it that the movie is going to be like it's going to be very Guardians of the Galaxy. Like it seemed like James Gunn is a one trick pony. He can only make superhero team ensembles where there's like some quirky sort of character. It's just corny, and like I said, making her this little drunken sorority girl type bitch doesn't make sense to me. Vince for you said hi, what's up? So that's coming out. Not going to see it. I'll watch it on. I'm going to watch a pirated version of it. Um, and it's stupid. Like she's gonna go to like she's gonna travel to solar systems where there's a red sun because when there's a red sun, Kryptonians are powered down so she can get drunk. I think the only reason the movie people will come to the movies at all to see Supergirl is not for Supergirl herself, but to see Jason Momoa play um play Lobo. Because that part was pretty much made for him, Lobo. Like that, a lot of a lot of people are probably going to go to Supergirl in order to see Jason Momoa's Lobo, not to see her. Like physically, she embodies what Supergirl would look like. The actress who plays her, but then she pissed people off when she was saying all this feminist bullshit in interviews. One way, the film studio should have learned by now uh between the bitch who played Captain Marvel, I forgot her name, Aaron Ella, I don't know. Then then Rachel Zegler who played Snow White. Uh, who else said some dumb shit? And another actress. After all this stuff, by now, film studios should just tell their just tell the actors to shut the fuck up when it comes to interviews. Like, don't at this point I would tell them don't say anything. Like, first of all, they should come with their PR team when they do these interviews because the Hollywood Reporter and other sorts of media out there intentionally send out these little faggy, progressive, super left reporters to 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 hem up these actors and actresses in saying something provocative to stir up controversy because these reporters and stuff they don't care about these movies being successful. They're just trying to push their own agenda, and they'll use these actors and directors and producers um, to do so. Like you've seen the savviest actors and producers will refuse to answer the questions or they'll redirect it and basically just refuse to engage in any politics. And that was the reason that actually convinced me to see Superman last year because I thought it was going to be some bullshit as well. And then one of the producers came out who actually was one of the writers one of the people who actually writes for the DC Comics, like, no, man, this he's like, no, this is not a movie for just the left. This is not a movie just for the right. Everybody's welcome to this movie. This is Superman. He is an American superhero, and he said no. He said yes. He still stands for truth, justice, and American way. We can still say that. Like he was like, this is not this is this is a movie for anyone, and that's what convinced me to go. Although when you do see this, that the two fictional nations warring against each other, and it seems like it looked like a very obvious analog towards Israel versus Palestine, or maybe Russia versus Ukraine, whichever way you wanted to look at it. However, I I think they made it. I think they made those two fictional countries because it wasn't really the Middle East. It was like Moravia is like a fictional Eastern European country, and the other country was I forgot um, what the analog to it is. Probably like like Central Asian, Middle Eastern country, whatever. But um, excuse me, nose is itchy. I'm probably about to sneeze in a second. But in any case, of I don't think uh, I think if you saw the Israel Palestine war in that, or the Russian Ukraine war in that, I think it was a bit of a projection, and that's what they wanted you to. That's what they wanted. They wanted people, whatever side of the fence they were on, with those two wars, to be able to project their folks into that role. Like if you saw Moravia as Israel, then good, and you saw the brown people of the other country as the Palestinians. But because Moravia is also an Eastern European nation, and they're speaking with a tongue that sounds Slavic, well, the president was obviously talking with like a Slavic tongue. You could also see it as a stand-in for Russia and Ukraine, and you could think, well, the good guys were the Ukrainians, the bad guys were Russia. I don't know, but again, although you could say it was like drawn on Israel and the Palestinian War or the Russian Ukrainian War, it it left it vague enough that you could, you know. And no, I'm not giving you a brief. You should have saw the fucking heading of this fucking live stream before you jumped into it. I get tired of stupid ass people just randomly jumping into a live stream and not knowing what the host is talking about because you are too lazy to actually look at what you're jumping into. No, I'm not gonna fucking summarize. No. Anyway, moving on. So again, so I like Superman, and I like the fact that they gave us a good representation of Mister Terrific, and I'm glad, and I like the fact that Superman was actually Superman, like he was actually a man out of time, sort of like Captain America, where he still represents old-fashioned values that seem out of place, even in the even in the 1978 film. He seemed like a man out of time with his values. He's like a old school Midwestern kid from Kansas living in Metropolis, which is a stand-in for basically New York City, particularly Manhattan. Mahasa, get the fuck off my channel. You're banned. Peace, faggot. How you gonna like? How the fuck you gonna come onto somebody's channel and be like, "Oh, what is this about?" Well, how about you use a little bit of IQ points to actually find out what the fuck you're looking at before you jump onto it? Do you just That's the equivalent of just turning into a TV show and start watching it halfway through, not knowing what the fuck it's about. Some of you are fucking retarded, and then you get mad at the host because you want to interrupt him while he's talking, so he can go back to the beginning of what he was saying because you're too fucking retarded to look at the title of the live stream before you jump into it, which again is the equivalent of someone going on TV and watching a TV show halfway through and not knowing what they're watching. You're stupid. Fucking retard. Anyway, um, so Supergirl is going to be directly connected to that. Also, Peacemaker. So Peacemaker is only on HBO Max. Season 2 is directly the aftermath of Superman. Uh, and Peacemaker is more up James Gunn's way. He's a very cynical and has a very sophomore sense of humor. Gary Vee does it. That's probably what the youth today is entitlement. Yeah, man, I don't put up with them. I'm Gen X. I don't put up with Gen Z's little faggoty retarded asses. I don't. I anyone who's been on my channel though, I don't. I really don't put up with Gen Z. I think they're a bunch of fucking lazy, weak, retarded, faggoty man purse with their little faggot gun and their little man purse with their little colored fingernails with the little broccoli haircuts or braids. I hate that whole fucking generation. Is the they're the worst thing Gen X has ever done is bust a nut and produce Gen Z. I hate them with a passion. Jeremy does he got my sub though. Appreciate it, brother. So anyway, so back to like I was saying, superhero movies are trying to make a comeback. So like I said, the Supergirl trailer just rubbed me the wrong way because the very beginning you see Crypto peeing on the image of Superman in the Daily Planet, and then it shows her little drunk and stupid ass going off planet to get drunk on a in a solar system that has a red sun because it depowers Kryptonians. Um, and then it becomes basically like basically becomes some little random side quest sort of film. And like I said, the only reason a lot of folks may actually see it is just to see Jason Momoa play Lobo in live action. A lot of people, like DC comic fans, who want to see a live action version of Lobo. They've shown him before on like the little on the TV shows, but not like on the silver screen. People want to see a Lobo on silver screen. Jason Momoa will perfectly encapsulate a real life version of Lobo. But I don't care about Supergirl. I'm gonna pirate it on and watch it at home. The other thing that's coming out is Spider-Man: Brand New Day, which is the same title of one of the most hated runs of Spider-Man. So in the comics, which is actually the actual Brand New Day thing happened actually in the third movie, No Way Home, but they're calling the fourth movie Brand New Day based off the run of the comics that happened after Brand New Day. So in the Brand New Day comics, what happened was Spider-Man literally made a deal with the devil with Mephisto um, to save Aunt May, but at the sake of wiping out his history with Mary Jane, like wiping out the fact that they had been married for like 10 years. Like they had been married for like in the comics at that point for about what 10 years. They had a daughter who has superpowers. So they just wiped that whole run. They wiped out that 10-year history of Spider-Man to restart it brand new day for him to save Aunt May. And that you see, so like I said, so you sort of see that happening in the third movie, No Way Home, except with this, it didn't bring back Aunt May. What happened was he made a deal. with Doctor Strange for everyone to forget who he was in order to correct the this incursion happening with because of the multiverse sort of hijinks. And basically this because part of the Marvel multiverse is a smaller part of the multiverse, which is the Spideyverse, and so the whole Spideyverse was collapsing in on itself and was going to cause maybe some sort of incursion with the Earth. So, in order to keep that from happening, Doctor Strange concocted something that would keep that from happening. But in order to do so, it would have to wipe out all of his history, uh, or his knowledge about him on Earth, which meant all his friends would forget about him. The Avengers would forget about him. Everyone would, and that's how it ended. And then he put on his trademark suit. He was no longer basically a Iron Man protege by the end of No Way Home. And so going into Brand New Day, on the trailer, this is the movie I'm going to see this summer because it looks good. He is fighting the Hand. Most people know the Hand from Daredevil. They're the evil ninja group, um, that he was trained to fight against from his master's stick. And if names like the Hand and Stick sound similar, it's because you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, and you may recall that the very beginning of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is actually from Daredevil. The same radioactive stuff that splashed in his eyes and blinded him, but gave him his special his superpowers, are actually what got onto the turtles and mutated them into anthropomorphic turtles as well as Splinter. So the so and this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So when that truck spilled onto the street and splashed Devil, and he saved the person that got in his eyes and blinded him, but later gave him superhero abilities. It actually splashed onto the turtles as well, um, and Splinter, who gathered them up into the sewer and mutated them, making them human like. Um, if you only know the cartoon, um, it shows Splinter's originally being human, but he wasn't in the original comics as well as in the movie. He was always a rat who became more human, like just like the turtles. And Splinter was sort of the analog to Stick. So because Daredevil's master was called Stick, the Turtles' master was named Splinter because the bad guys who fought against Daredevil were called the Hand. Then the Turtles fought against the evil ninjas called the Foot. So that's by intention. Obviously, the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like Daredevil a lot and based it off. I think they got it. They were particularly using the Frank Miller run of Daredevil to base their origins of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Anywho, the Hand in if you guys haven't seen the trailer, you can watch the trailer on YouTube. He is fighting against the Hand. It looks awesome, and if you look at the editing when he's jumping off the ledge and fighting them, it looks like there's some area in the bottom where there could be a superhero, and some people have speculated that that's we is almost for certain that Daredevil is going to make a cameo in this movie. We already know, again, it's in the trailer. It's actually in the trailer, so they didn't hide this. The Punisher will be in Spider-Man. Unfortunately, Kingpin isn't. Sony is not allowing them to play with Kingpin because they still own the rights to that. But the Punisher, and when I say the Punisher, I'm talking about the Netflix Punisher, the good Punisher. He's gonna be in Spider-Man, and I'm even though they haven't shown it yet, 'cause I think they're trying to keep it as a surprise, not a very well kept surprise. It almost is almost for certain that Daredevil's in it, and then that one screen image where he's jumping up in the air and going against the hand. He comes down. It's dope. It's dope as shit. It's dope. There's like this little area that looks like it's been like digitally cropped or something, where it looks like there could be a person down at the bottom, and that's probably Daredevil, because they did that before with the last movie when they showed him when they did the trailer and they were fighting off the construction site and he was jumping, and it just looked like he alone. But then when you see the movie, is all three Spider-Men fighting alongside each other when they jumped off to fight the Lizard and Sandman and and the Green Goblin. You only saw one Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but then we know now it was three Spider-Men in there, played by Tobey Maguire and the other guy. But they digitally edited them out of that for the trailer. So it looks like they digitally edited Daredevil out of this new trailer when he's fighting the hand. Because how are you going to have him fighting the hand and Daredevil's not attached? Especially when you already have the Punisher in it. It's like almost a given there's going to be like Daredevil, Punisher, and Spider Man because they're like the three big street level superheroes in Marvel. Almost a given. Well, I don't I don't know too many other surprises about that. But like I said, the Punisher's in it, and I'm pretty sure Daredevil's going to make an appearance of some sort. Um, I think they're going to ignore all that. I don't think they're going to do any uh, multiverse hijinks in Brand New Day. But I there's I think they're going to change how Spider-Man is now going forward in the MCU. On top of that, Sony and Marvel are working much more closely together. Like Sony is actually doing a lot of stuff alongside Marvel Studios right now. On top of that, they just recently made an agreement to allow Marvel Studios to use more of the Spider-Man characters from the franchise, like Venom and Craven the Hunter. Looks like they're going to make some appearances in Marvel Studios movies going forward. Allegedly, they have a 6 movie deal going with Marvel, where they're going to allow them to do more Spider-Man type stuff. So we might be seeing some more of those characters in Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Uh, but here's the big thing that you guys don't know about. It's a shame only one person is watching right now, but that's all right because you guys can watch this broadcast on replay. The big surprise, I wanted to let people know, I should have done it when it was still 22 people watching. Um, they're re-releasing Avengers Endgame in September. September 25th, they are re-releasing Avengers Endgame, but with brand new footage that was not in the original one in 2019. They are re-releasing Avengers Endgame in September with brand new footage that's going to connect it to Avengers Doomsday, which comes out in December. All right, it's going to be brand new footage that connects it to Doomsday. So, um, because no one likes the new MCU superheroes that came out in the multiverse saga, the Doomsday has been getting a whole bunch of reshoots to make it more about the original Avengers cast. All right. So again, Avengers Endgame is being re-released into the theaters September 25th. It's going to have brand new footage that was not in it before. That's going to be a bridge to Avengers Doomsday that comes out in December. And we don't know what it is about, but we do know that Avengers Doomsday, sorry, has been getting a whole bunch of reshoots to make it more about the original cast from the original Avengers film instead of about all the new characters that came out during the multiverse saga that no one cares about. So you're gonna see less of people like Shang-Chi, who no one gives a fuck about. You're gonna see less about some of these other characters. But here's where some of the spoilers come in for Doomsday. So in the very beginning of the Doomsday film, they're gonna be in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie universe, and they're gonna kill off Tobey Maguire. Also, they're gonna be in the X-Men universe, and it looks like a lot of those characters are gonna die in the very beginning of Avengers Doomsday. Basically, the Avengers Doomsday is going to be Doctor Doom coming in, killing off a slew of characters, and then some of them are going to be brought back to be on War World for the following movie, Secret Wars. So they're going to do just like in the comics, they're going to have a War World, which is going to be all like Doomsday's own little uh planet where he's taken parts of the multiverse and all combined it into this one little planet of his war world. So some of these characters are going to be permanently dead. Some are going to come back. Another spoiler is that Ant-Man is going to die, but his daughter is going to take up the mantle. No one cares about. No one cares about his daughter. They're still trying to make Young Avengers a thing, even though it's been the poor reception of all these derivative characters is that no one likes these derivative characters over the legacy characters. We already know Captain America's coming back. He's apparently going to come back with long hair and a beard, and he's going to just take the hammer from Thor to like go against Doctor Doom or whatever. Apparently, Doctor Doom is going to shatter Thor's new Warhammer. Uh, what's it called? Storm. His new Warhammer, which is called Stormbreaker from Endgame. Apparently, Doctor Doom's going to shatter that, and it's basically going to be like Captain America and Thor, basically calling the troops up for war, saying this is the biggest threat they've ever faced, since Thanos, basically, but worse. um, I said a lot of people are going to die. The X-Men are going to come in. I think the X-Men originally are going to be fighting the Avengers till they realize that all of them have been played by Doomsday, and then it's going to lead in, which is going to lead eventually to Secret Wars, which comes out in 2027. But but like I said, they're doing a lot of reshoots, so it looks like they're going to try to focus it on the original Avengers cast and not so much on all the little multiverse heroes that's come out uh 20 since 2019. Uh, what else is going on? Trying to think. Let me get some water. Um, yeah, I mean that pretty much covers, like I said, Supergirl, Spider-Man, Brand New Day, uh, the re-release of Avengers Endgame with brand new footage, and Avengers Doomsday. There's gonna be some other summer movies coming out as well. Again, we don't know when the Batman Part Two is coming out, but people were saying it looks like it's gonna actually be good. I don't know. Um, but the other summer movies coming out is gonna be Toy Story 5. So if you didn't know, Toy Story 5 is coming out this summer. I don't think it's gonna be good because the new one is basically gonna be the fact that the toys have to compete against um, digital devices for the attention of children. Like, really, they really should have stopped at Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 was the perfect ending to that franchise. It was heartfelt. You had people literally crying because they grew up watching Toy Story. Like they were probably little kids who saw it. I was like 17 in in 95, but there were kids. People, some people were little kids when it came out when the first Toy Story came out in 1995, and that's when like Pixar was showing how good they are with computer animation at the time. Like the it still holds up pretty well, even though CGI is well beyond the capabilities of what they were doing, what Pixar was doing in 1995. It still holds up pretty well. But if you were a kid in 1995 and saw the first Toy Story, and you saw Toy Story 2, and then you saw Toy Story 3, that ending was just perfect. Like by Toy Story 3, you were probably like a young adult, right? And you probably got teary eyed seeing the ending of Toy Story 3 when what was the kid? Andy was grown now, going to college, and he passed his toys off to the little girl and said, "Take good care of my toys. They're really special to me." Blah 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 blah. That was that was a tearjerker, right? Why do that with Toy Story 4? Like, then why mess that up with Toy Story 4? And now they're doing a Toy Story 5. All right. You got the Odyssey coming out by Christopher Nolan. Originally, I was excited to hear about it, but some of the alleged things I hear they're gonna do, like there's gonna be apparently there might be some race and gender swapping. That's like why? Like if you're gonna use a Greek epic like the Odyssey, which is like probably the Odyssey is probably the greatest is probably one of the greatest epics ever written, besides the first epic that we know to ever be written, which comes from Babylon, which is I forgot the name of it. But the Odyssey, it, unlike that one, was actually a complete epic poem that from from beginning to end, by Homer, who did the Iliad, then the Odyssey, which was the follow up to the Iliad. But the Odyssey is a greater story than the Iliad. I think. I think most people would probably think that the Odyssey. Well, they're both great, but I think the Odyssey is slightly better. It's like the idiot. So the Iliad is like the Iliad is like Star Wars: A New Hope, right? Or just Star Wars for us original folks who watched it back in the day. So the Iliad is Star Wars: A New Hope. The Odyssey is Empire Strikes Back. Okay. Um, there's no need to try to make it for modern audiences. The so-called modern audience does not exist. The modern audience is this idolization of audiences being uh very multicultural, gender fluid, and with left-leaning politics. But that's only half the population at best. The other half is right-leaning and moderate and have more pragmatic values. The show of life says Toy Story is good. You're just jealous. What the fuck are you talking about? I just said Toy Story was good. You're fucking retarded. You didn't hear what I said. I said Toy Story 1 through 3 were great films. There was no reason to make Toy Story 4, and there's no reason to release Toy Story 5 this summer. Shut the fuck up, you stupid faggot. And I didn't say Star Trek. I'm talking about Star Wars. Are you fucking high? You're fucking stupid. I'm not talking about Star Trek. I'm talking about Star Wars. And I was talking about Toy Story 5, which is coming out this summer. I didn't insult Toy Story, you dumbass. Yeah, you are retarded, clearly retarded, because you. I was just saying how good Toy Story is. I literally said, even though it's made in 1995, it still holds up today. You dumb fuck. Damn, I hate stupid ass YouTubers. So what? You graduated high school. You did the bare fucking minimum that any fucking person should do. That's the bare fucking minimum. Everyone should be able to graduate high school. That's the bare fucking minimum. And the average high school graduate has an IQ of 103. That is not saying much. Anywho, again, Toy Story was great. Toy Story 2 was great. Toy Story 3 was just perfect. Toy Story 4 was good, but it was unnecessary. And Toy Story 5, it's probably going to make a lot of money. It probably is going to make a lot of money, but it's not going to be that. It's not going to be. It's never going to be as good as Toy Story 3 was. It's just not. Especially when the new premise is that these little analog toys have to compete for kids' attention with digital devices. That's no. Like I said, Odyssey is coming out. I trust Christopher Nolan as a filmmaker, but I don't like the rumors that that characters in the film are going to be race or gender swapped. That's unnecessary to do just to appease a so-called modern audience, which doesn't really exist. The so-called modern audience is just one portion of the American of the general population, which is very left leaning, all into gender ideology and multiculturalism. That is not most of America. This is when they try to make films specifically for modern audiences, like the MCU has been doing for the past 7 years. Those movies fail because most of America is moderate and have pragmatic values. Um, what else is coming out? Um, there's a bunch of stuff coming out. It's mostly all sequels and reboots. Um, but I listed all the superhero films I can remember off top. Oh, Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't think anyone gives a shit about the Mandalorian and Grogu. I used to like the Mandalorian the first two seasons. Then the third season again, they decided to pivot into this very feminist and left leaning thing where he basically it it was just bad because one, when Grogu left in season two, instead of season three up being about the Mandalorian and Grogu getting back together, instead Grogu and Mandalorian get together in the book of Boba Fett, which is a completely different show. Like you had to watch a completely different show, which should have just been about Boba Fett being a badass. And still he plays second banana in his own TV show. And in it, like Mandalorian pretty much takes over the show the last three episodes. And it shows him getting back with Grogu after Grogu decides to leave Luke Skywalker's uh, new new Jedi Academy and get back to the Mandalorian, and he becomes a Mandalorian uh, student now. So now he's learning the ways of being a Mandalorian warrior. But the the trailer the trailers for Mandalorian Grogu seem underwhelming. Like it's not that it's bad, but it just looks like a glorified episode of the Disney Plus series. So I'm not going to the movies to see that. I'm gonna pirate that as well. Um, that actually comes out in a week, and they just released the final trailer last week, and it was, you know, it was okay. The trailer was good, but like I said, no one's really that excited to see Mandalorian and Grogu. Like they would have been excited for it if they never did a season 3. Then people would have been excited because not just because season 3 was really bad, but it would have left us on a cliffhanger from season 2, and people would have been excited to see this in the movies. That's what they should have done. And then next year, there's going to be another Star Wars film called It's going to be called Star Wars Starship or something like that, uh, with Ryan Gosling playing the main protagonist. We're yet to know what it's about specifically, but he plays uh, some sort of space explorer type person. It's basically something new. It's going to be like in the time. I guess it's going to be in some sort of time before the sequel films came out. So it's supposed to be in the, I guess, before everything that happened in the sequels. Um, but that's next year. Um, like I said, in a week, Mandalorian Grogu comes out. No one's excited for it. Another movie that's come out is The Devil Wears Prada Part Two, and it's weird. I think that movie's going to do well. What's weird is like they waited 20 years to make a sequel to that movie. Like the original Devil Wears Prada came out like I believe 20 or 21 years ago. I've never watched it because it's like a chick flick, but for women, I'm pretty sure a lot of them liked it because I think the first movie did well. This one probably will do well as well, but it just was weird they took 20 years to make a sequel to that movie. So there are a few other films, but I really can't remember all of them off the top of my head. But I was only really concentrated on the superhero movie. So like I said, Supergirl comes out, and that's going to be competing somewhat with Spider-Man Brand New Day. Spider-Man Brand New Day is probably going to do pretty well. Supergirl is not expected to do well unless, like I said, there's going to be some surprises. But I think people will watch. Some people will come see it just to see Jason Momoa as Lobo. But the actress who plays Supergirl kind of rubbed people the wrong way when she starts saying all this little misandrous stuff about, you know, uh, toxic male fans and all sort of stuff. Which also leads to the last movie I want to talk about, kind of a superhero film, Masters of the Universe. So He Man is coming out, and I think that's going to come out exactly around the same time as Supergirl. And I think some people were kind of excited because this is a definitive Gen X property. He Man, like this is. I remember I got my first He Man toy when I turned 6 in 1983, and you know I had the show had just started. This that show had just came out that year, that that fall or summer rather, um, which I was in the first grade, and it was exciting. I had my birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. Um, and so I was I was obsessed with He Man like most kids that age. Then later they had Shira, 2 years later come out, who was for the girls, but the guys were still watching Shira and even wanting the toys, which is funny because the Shira stuff was put in the girls section of the toy. So they don't have this anymore, but they used to have a girls section and a boys section because people understood that they like playing with different types of toys. And guys would still go over into the girls section to check out the Shira toys, because the funny thing is, with Shira, like a lot of the bad guys on the show were still with the boy toys, the He-Man and Masters of the Universe line, but Shira and the Princess of Power toys were in the girls section, but many of her bad guys were still promoted for the boys, like Hordak, who is her enemy in the cartoon, along with the Horde, which were all his minions, were all for the boys, even though those were the bad guys for her on her TV show. And then people wanted her because she was the twin sister of He-Man, and they fought alongside each other. In the movie that came out, He-Man and Shira, The Secret of the Sword, which revealed the fact that he had a twin sister living on another planet, Etheria, who also had a sword similar to his. He had the sword of power. She had the sword of protection. And they both derived their powers from Castle Grayskull. And Hordak was actually the mentor of Skeletor, which was the bad guy for He-Man. All this was revealed in Secret of the Sword. So a lot of guys were watching She-Ra like I was. They wanted many of the toys, even though they were marketed for girls, because they 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 fit with the He-Man stuff. And so in '88 they finally made a movie to it starring Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. The movie did really badly though, because it was it was very low budget, and um it didn't fit it didn't fit the cartoon. And that's because when they made the movie, they based it off the He-Man from the mini comic books. In the mini comic books, his origin was different from the cartoon origins, where of Eternia he lived on, and he used when he his sword and gave the incantation, it turned him to He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe, who had a whole bunch of superpowers, not just super strength, but he had super speed and could do other stuff. But in the mini comic books that came originally with the action figures before the cartoon came out, He-Man wasn't Prince Adam. He was basically just a barbarian who has super strength. He was basically a knockoff version of Conan the Barbarian in the original mini comics. And so the movie in 1988 with Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella as Skeletor basically basically adapted the mini comics version, and so it underwhelmed a lot of kids who were expecting it to be more like the TV show. On top of that, it was very low budget, so the third act of the movie, when He-Man and Skeletor finally clashed, was was really corny, because it was just basically Dolph Lundgren twirling his sword around as Skeletor. That's all it was. However, the movie was the first appearance of Courtney Love. Don't probably Which people probably don't remember unless you used to watch Friends or Scream. If you watch Friends or then you watch Scream, then you know who Courtney Love is. But that was her first appearance, was in the Masters of the Universe movie. So the new one coming out next month. No, it's the next. No, in June. I'm sorry. I think it comes out in June. I think June or July, whenever it comes out. It's gonna be at basically around the same time the Supergirl comes out. But this is gonna be based on the cartoon version of He-Man that was Prince Adam. However, they made some changes where Adam is going to be on Earth, and then he comes to Eternia to help save them against Skeletor. Uh, and the one of the director came out saying that this was a movie about them fighting against toxic masculinity. I'm like, wait, what? You talking about a very masculine superhero, He-Man, and he's like, and toxic masculinity is just a bullshit term. It's basically a term used to un, basically used to vilify just normal male pattern behavior is toxic. Like, come on, bro. Then the actress who plays Taylor came out. So Taylor is the captain of the guard for Eternia and the love interest of He-Man and the adopted daughter of Man at Arms. So Man at Arms has already been race swapped to be black now. He was a white guy. He's gonna be race swapped, played by Idris Elba. And let me see something here. We so I look past the fact that Man at Arms was race swapped for Idris Elba. But then what Taylor was saying, yeah, it's gonna be about them fighting against toxic masculinity, not just the men. He said not just the women, but the not just the women, but the men too. And said the Skeletor basically embodies toxic masculinity. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, oh god, this is sounding bad. So they've already had a trailer out. Like I said, the trailer is decent. But when they originally showed like Adam working at a in some little corporate office, and it says Adam Glenn, and then underneath it gives his pronouns he, him. A lot of people laughed that off because they thought that was just them being playful for the fact that Adam is actually He Man, so having his pronouns be he, him was supposed to be a play on the fact that his superhero name is He Man. But now it's looking like this is actually going to be some sort of like woke sort of thing because you already race swapped Man at Arms, and you got both the director and one of the main characters, well, one of the actors playing one of the main characters saying this is all about them fighting against toxic masculinity. I'm like, oh god. So now I don't trust it. So those are the superhero movies coming out. Not including Star Wars and Odyssey, Toy Story 5, and Devil Wears Prada 2. So you got Masters of the Universe, Supergirl, the re-release of Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Brand New Day, and then Avengers Doomsday in December. So I'm gonna leave it with that, guys. I'm out. Peace.